NewGenGamers.com.
And Nintendo Power and all the early game magazines such as Game Pro and things of that sort helped create the culture that we're all part of now, and gave us a place to feel at home, to write our fan letters in and say how much we liked the Zelda series, and to talk about the high score that we got and send it into the magazine to show other players. And all the things that we do on the internet now and we do with our online services were only able to be done with the print publications at that time. And Nintendo really fostered that, so I give them a lot of props for embracing that. Sure, it helped them sell things, but the other companies weren't proactive on that and didn't help build that sense of community that Nintendo did.
Yeah, it really was kind of just bringing it all out now. They're just handing it to you and going, well, hey, try this out. You'll like it.
You love this, make it part of your life. I remember being excited every month and waiting. I knew the day around the time when the Nintendo Power magazine was going to arrive in my mailbox, and I would check every day waiting for that to appear. And so personally I read pretty much every issue of that magazine from probably about issue 20 to well over issue 100 when I subscribed to it. Oh, look at the trickery of Ray.
Oh, I told you, I know every secret in this game.
So,
There's secrets and tricks abounding in this game, and just all you have to do is find the way around them.
And the trickery that Nintendo also had was to find out a lot of these little tricks and how to get through these games. You had to get Nintendo Power, because you could write in letters asking how to get past these certain bosses, and they would answer with the Counselor's Corner and the tips in the classified information section of the magazine. So a prolific magazine in the history of video game publications, and that again, we wouldn't be here without them, and perhaps none of the big video game publications would be here if not for them. There was other things such as Computer Gaming World and some other smaller startups at the time, but Nintendo Power was the first that was promoted.
Really took it to the next level.
Yeah, because it had the corporate funding to be just everything that it could be. They had so many cool things. The merchandise you could get only in the magazine, that I would love to see the collections that people have of that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because there were so many items you couldn't get anywhere else, like gold N64 controllers and things like that.
You know what I thought was the coolest bonus they ever did? The Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition disc.
Oh my, yes, that was very, very highly sought after, and still is very highly sought after as a collector's item these days. And of course, Ray has a copy.
Yeah. Got it straight from Nintendo Power for free.
And that one is not for sale on shop.newgengamers.com, because that is a personal Ray copy that you would have to actually physically murder him to take, and I believe his spirit would probably chase after you and haunt you if you did that, so I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, I'm pretty, pretty tight with my Zelda.
And as we go here, we try not to give too much of a biased viewpoint of these companies and of these systems, and try not to be fanboys, but Ray and I are definitely Nintendo fanboys through and through. We've been weaned on these games since we were young lads, and we've played for over 20 years each. So
it's hard not to be. Well, you know what? There's a difference between a fanboy and a loyalist. Fanboys blindly spout crap, and loyalists just tell it, the reason they're playing those games is because of this.
Well, I think video game expert Luke Feather put it best when he said that you may be a fanboy, Ray, but you're a fanboy with purpose, because the company backs up their quality time and time again. So it's easy to be a Nintendo fanboy if you've played their stuff, and especially if you played the old stuff. And They're
Ray's
once
played a lot of the old stuff.
and so has Ron. And so, we're seeing the company find that rebirth again, and a lot of these young whippersnapper players
Who only grew up on PlayStation.
yeah, a lot of players now aren't familiar with these old games. So if you're not, watch through these videos, pick up these old games. They are so great that if you missed them, you're really missing out. And they're not the parlor games that a lot of the Atari fare was, where you pop the game in and 15 minutes later you go, okay, I'm gonna go play with my dick now. These games hold your interest and can keep you there for dozens and dozens of hours, and really fulfill your life with entertainment. You got to do something. We can't all cure cancer or save the world. So when you're in the common world, you got to have something to do, and I think this is a great activity to engage in. And
more trickery on my part.
oh yes. And this is one of the best ways that people spent their time during the 80s and early 90s. So, what else, Ray? There was a second model of the Nintendo Entertainment System released.
Yeah, it was a shrunk-down model.
Due to the design flaws of the original Nintendo, it was a top-loading system, much like the Atari, Super Nintendo, Genesis, and most other cartridge-based systems, because you didn't have as many problems with the connectors getting messed up and getting dirt in them. So
something I didn't get to finish was the reason they designed it that way.
Oh yes,
was because they wanted to make it seem like it was more of like a toy instead of a video game machine, which were so unpopular at the time.
Yeah, they wanted it to not look like a computer. They wanted it to either be a toy or a cool high-end electronic, like your cool VCR that you had, which was still novel at the time.
So what they did was they packed in the Zapper, and then they packed in like Rob the Robot. And...
Oh, we didn't even mention Rob. Again, I think we need to do an addendum to this later on, just on the peripherals that were available for this system, because there were so many. They didn't really work out too well, but they're all really interesting, and would open up doors for future input devices that we would see. A lot of the technologies that were tested with the Nintendo Entertainment System that didn't work out, such as the Zapper, such as the Power Glove, are now being used successfully in the Wii. So they really brought it all full circle. Again, we talked about the Game Boy's original designs being brought into the DS. They've innovated so much, and again, this console innovated so many things, such as the directional pad, another Gunpei Yokoi innovation. The directional pad was invented for the Game & Watch systems as a new input device, as opposed to the joysticks of the arcade and home systems. You couldn't put a joystick on that handheld system, so he needed a new way to do it. Came up with the D-pad, and they kept it for this system, and it changed how games were played.
Yes, it did, and
no one wanted a joystick after you used the directional pad.
No, it was pretty much done for.
Yeah, the joystick was dead at that point. So another thing that Nintendo killed, Atari did so many things, but then they petered off so quickly in the industry, and Nintendo swept up all of that and innovated and just kept going with it.
As you can see, I'm one section away from Bowser's Castle here.
Well, let's not push it, Ray. Just keep playing.
Family コンピューター登場。カセットを挿入するとカラー52色の鮮やかな画像。コンピューターを相手に麻雀、五目並べ、そしてポパイ、ドンキーコング、2人で楽しめるマリオブラザーズなど10種類。ポーズボタンと切り替えスイッチで簡単にテレビ番組に変わるテレビ共存タイプ。家族揃ってファミリーコンピューター。